Today, I would like to welcome you all to an anti-war memorial ceremony, the celebration of life of Barry Romo, and the celebration of the past and future of anti-war veteran activism. We're having this memorial in the midst of a genocide. Veterans, since October 7th, have called for a ceasefire, demanded an end to the violence, an end to the occupation, an end to the apartheid, and Barry Romo was a part of that. Veterans know all too well the way states can perpetuate violence endlessly, and today is about imagining a different way.
I look out here and I see so many new faces of people who I know Barry has made an impact on, and that's because of who he was, that's because of what he stood for, that's because you knew that in a pinch, you didn't have to ask twice. The friendship ran so deep.
With the continuation of struggles for people's self-determination, for vets' care, for treatment of Agent Orange, for removal of U.S. bases in the Philippines, for any struggle you could possibly think of, the VAW was involved. Barry Romo was at the head of it.
He was there for our veterans at the VA, helping to demand hiring of more nurses so that the veterans could heal. He held veterans up and cared for them by creating space for them to be safe and to process their military experience.
First time I met Barry Romo, he cussed me out. Now, as IVAW turns 20, I understand him a bit more than I did in those days. All I saw then was a man whom I'd read about in books and idolized, calling me a motherfucker. I fell in love with Barry that day. Not because he cussed me out, but because at the end of the day, he was drunkenly hugging me and telling me how much he admired me. He didn't live for no country. He lived for me. He lived for us. Thank you, Barry Romo, for living for me. Rest now, old friend. Your watch has ended, and ours continues.
The thing that has struck me today, listening to all of you and your stories, is influence across all types of disciplines that he had. It's more than us vets that are here. It's union workers, all kinds of people that are interested in social justice across this country.
I will miss his mentorship, his stubbornness, and most importantly, his huge hugs. He was always a beacon of light in those dark times and was always willing to open up his home to anyone that was struggling or needed to talk or just wanted to hang out and have a drink.
You know, like, I don't know, there's so many movies about him and documentaries and books. I feel like to know him and to love him was better than what they say true friendship is.
At the post office, we butted heads a lot. We were both on the same side.
We can use his example for what we should do and possibly for what we shouldn't do. Direct our energy into action, maintain a community of care and respect. Don't let our demons overtake our judgment. Don't submit to the allure of self-medication.
Let's stay involved. Let's do political work and organize to address the underlying problems of our world. This is how we can keep the spirit and social memory of Barry Romo alive. Viva Barry!
Viva Barry!
Long live Barry Romo!
Long live Barry Romo!
Salud!
Salud!
The overarching message that I get from Barry's life's work is the importance of unity. And it has been noted that May Day was a significant date for an organizer like Barry to die. There are forces in the world that want to see us divided, but we know that when we join together and act in each other's self-interest, we have power.
What I want to talk about is what's happening in Palestine and why all anti-war vets, like Barry, are calling for a permanent ceasefire and the end to U.S. military aid to Israel. As Barry said in a 1968 documentary, quote, "I discovered that I wasn't in Vietnam for the child's life. I was in Vietnam so that I could protect rubber trees that belonged to Michelin so that someone could have cheaper tires on their new Oldsmobile." Barry went on to say that, quote, "the sap in that tree was worth 10 times more than that child's life, and that doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't make sense to me either." So how do we stop it? Barry and so many others of his generation gave us the answers. And as a U.S. military veteran, as an Army veteran that served in the post-9/11 wars, I'm just now beginning to understand them. I want all of us to walk in Barry's footsteps and to organize towards an anti-war, anti-military industrial complex, anti-prison industrial complex, decolonized, abolitionist, feminist, radical future. One where all of us, every single one of our children and the planet has the freedom to thrive. Thank you.
Yes! Barry Romo! We are veterans against war! We are veterans against war! We are veterans against war! The people of Gaza! The people of Chicago! The people of Chicago! Let there be peace and justice! Let there be peace and justice!